Hey everyone, we're back. This is the week of Parsha's Terumah, which discusses the building of the Mikdash, of the Mishkan, and the donations the Yidden were called upon to give. The first three things the Jews needed to give towards the building of the Mishkan was the three precious metals, Zahav, Kesef, and Necheshes, which translates into gold, silver, and bronze. And all three metals were integral, important parts of the Mishkan. Now, the Rebbe learns a very simple yet powerful, revolutionary lesson from this, and compares the three precious metals to three types of Jews. This is in Chelek Vav in Lakutei Sichos, and in Sefer HaSichos Tafshin Mem Tes, which with slight differences about how this is translated. So I'll loosely combine them. You could find nuances of a difference, but the main point is the point, and that's what we're going to bring about. Zahav, gold, stands for Zeh HaNoisen Bari, Zayin He Beis. Zahav, gold, it represents the golden Jew, the golden healthy Jew, the one that seemingly never even has challenges. He's just strong, and his Yiddishkeit is smooth, natural. In Hebrew, we call this a tzaddik. Kesef represents the word kaf, saf, fe, kashiesh sakanas pachad, when there's a bit of fear, when there is a bit of threat to the world. This represents the Beinani. As Tanya explains, the Beinani is someone that technically does have a pull of lust towards negativity, towards his Yetzer Hara still has a pull, at least emotionally. He does have desires toward doing the wrong thing, but he's in total control of himself. So you have the golden Jew who represents the tzaddik. You have the silver Jew who represents the Beinani, the one who is challenged by the world but always overcomes it. Then you have the cheap stuff, the bronze. That represents the Rasha, which the word necheshes, which is bronze, also comes from the word nachash, which means the snake. The snake was the one that brought evil into the world, and this is a Rasha who slips up and does make mistakes, does averis, and sometimes does the wrong thing. Or necheshes also stands for nesinas chela sha'amar tenu, someone who's already very sick, who's about to die, who just says, give my stuff away. Presenting the Rasha who seemingly does his service of Hashem out of desperation. Now we might think that, of course, gold belongs in the Beis HaMikdash. That's the necessary ingredient to build God's home. Kesef too, someone that's triumphant, he is challenged, but he always overcomes it. But what about the Necheshes guy? What about the Rasha? And this week's Parsha is showing us that just like the tzaddik is an important ingredient in the Beis HaMikdash, and the Kesef, the Beinani, is necessary in creating this world as Hashem's home, so is the Rasha. The Rasha has his own unique contribution to give towards the Beis HaMikdash. Now this is incredibly powerful. I'm going to explain why. We all learn Tanya, and in Tanya, it starts off with a question, which says that if you view yourself as a Rasha, seemingly there's only one of two maskanas you could come to about yourself. If I'm a Rasha, so either I'll be depressed, I'm going to feel like a failure. And if I know I'm a Rasha, but I'm not depressed, then that means I have kalas reish. That means I'm just cynical about the whole thing. The whole thing's a joke to me. A Rasha should bother me. Being a Rasha should bother me. And if it doesn't bother me, that means the whole thing I'm not taking seriously. So then Tanya goes and explains the ultimate possible success in our journeys of Avodas Hashem is to be a Beinani. Maybe we can't completely conquer our hearts and minds, but we could conquer our machshava, dibra, ma'aseh, and we could always be in total control of our conscious thoughts, what we speak about, what we do. Yet after learning Tanya and hearing about that ultimately we could have such mastery over ourselves, what category do most of us fall into after learning Tanya? Seemingly we're all still in the category of Rasha. We all slip up from time to time. So go back to the original question of Tanya. It's telling me that I could be a Beinani. 99.9% of us seemingly don't always fit the category of Beinani, and therefore view ourselves either depressed, either we view ourselves depressingly, like, okay, I know I could be a Beinani, but I'm just not. So either that just depresses me and doesn't allow me to be excited in Avodas Hashem, or it just means, okay, I'm a Rasha, but and the whole thing's a joke. Where's there space for a Rasha? Tanya doesn't seem to discuss where there's space for a Rasha. If in the book that tells me how I could be the best Jew I can, and it seemingly is so out of reach that, again, for many of us, just we don't live on that frequency so often. So then we feel stuck. We feel second class, and we feel like imposters. And this is a very powerful teaching. The Rebbe is teaching us is there's space in Judaism even for the Rasha, even for the guy who keeps messing up. Just the Beis HaMikdash needs them. If we're speaking about spiritual ambition and achievements, we all should try to be a tzaddik, and we should all try to be a beinoni as much as possible. But our generation's demand is not about personal perfection. Our generation's demand is about making this world ready for Mashiach, bringing Hashem's presence to this world. And that needs a contribution not only of gold, not only of silver, but even of copper. In fact, our whole generation is a generation of copper, the Rebbe says. We're all generationally with spiritual challenges, spiritual sickness. But we need that input, and Hashem needs that and cherishes that just as much as the other two. The first thing the Kayanim would deal with when going into the Beis HaMikdash was copper, when they needed to wash their hands from the copper basin. The foundations of the Chatzar of the Mishkan was made out of copper. The pegs that kept the roof down of the Mishkan so that they would never move in the wind, that was copper. Copper is not only an ingredient, but a very important integral ingredient to the Beis HaMikdash and to the Jewish people. Just like the copper needs the gold and the silver to feel collective community, so does the gold, the tzaddik, the beinoni. They also need Russia as part of their collective community. And just to finish off with what the Rebbe says, that the word tzibur represents, tzibur means community, the Jewish community, the Jewish people. Tzibur, tzaddik beis reish, represents tzaddik, beinoni, and Russia. We need all three of them, and even if I feel imperfect, my contribution is still 100% necessary. Have a great Shabbos.